So let's get started where we left off. So now we need to do something with our geometry points that we created. So now we're going to start making some tooling around dimensions. So we're focused on the two basic types of dimensions that we probably focus on from an automation standpoint. And that'll be our general dimensions and our ordinate dimensions. Now, there will be others in the future, but let's focus with these two because they're the simpler ones to implement. So first things first, let's take a look at some code I had written a while back for dealing with dimensions. And I want to make general part of this wrapper is taking some of the lessons I've learned over the years and trying to make it a bit easier. So this time I'd like to avoid doing the static, and this time we're just going to add it as part of the view. And so one thing that has to happen is for us to create a dimension, we need to pass in an object collection, which is a Autodesk Inventor object that we have to use to create it. So we'll probably just avoid creating any wrappers around that, and we'll just pass in our list of geometry points in. And so we're going to try to make both these methods here easier, and then we'll start going through these other ones. So let's get started. So first things first, let's create the general dimension wrapper. Let's start with general dimensions. I think those will be the easiest to get going. So we're going to say and what we'll do, I don't know if we'll use this yet. Let's just say we're going to have one called Inventor Dimension Base. I don't know if we'll use this yet, but we'll leave it there just in case. And I will delete it if we don't. So we're going to say Inventor. Okay. So now that we've got something going, let's get started. So what do we need to know to make a dimension? So let's kind of break that down. We need to know the points that the dimension is going to be attached to, the view, in this case it's a VR view, our dimension type. So by dimension type, I mean, is it a vertical? Yeah, is it a horizontal or a vertical dimension? So, I mean, so when we look to our dimension tools, let's see. We need to specify what kind of dimension it is versus being aligned. So if we have a curve that's at an angle, we would want to say a line if we wanted to say horizontal or vertical. So we're going to take that in consideration. What side of the view is the dimension going to be on? So that means what? So are we going to be on the right side of the view, the left side of the view? Where do we want this dimension to be? Then we need to know if we need to offset the dimension any. So if we need additional offset in case we have layers of dimensions. And do we need to pin any special text dimension like notes from the engineers or notes from the project manager, something like that? So we really need to be able to add all that in. So knowing that, let's start off simple and let's just skip our source object for a second and take a look. Let's say if we go to our view and do a little bit more documentation while we're here if we get started. And let's break this into regions because I think the view object is going to get a little large. So we're going to say this is our source document for the view. So there you go. So I think, yeah, so let's go and put a region right here, and we'll just call this dimensions. And we're going to say public, we'll just say void for now, void, add general dimension. Okay, so let's kind of break through what we said earlier. So first, we need 2 points. So we can do this in 2 ways. I think we'll just do geometry point, point 1, and geometry point, point 2. So we'll just keep it simple. Okay, so, and we know the view that we're going to associate this to. So, and we need to know our dimension type. So let's say okay, so let's go and wrap this enum. Not that it's completely necessary to wrap it enum, but if you don't wrap it, the end user does have to make a direct reference to the source interop object, and that kind of defeated one of the purposes I wanted to do with this wrapper. So I'm gonna go and wrap it. Inventor. All right, awesome. Okay. And I think in here we're just gonna go and alright, so we'll start off with that, and what we can do then is we're just gonna pass in our dimension type. Okay. Um, and now we're going to now we need to know with the view side. So let's create another set of enums. And we'll actually, yeah, so we'll say add class. We're going to say all right, so let's go and do this real quick. We're going to say, let's keep it simple. Top, bottom, left, right. Okay, so now we need to, so let's continue wrapping. So let's see what we've got to work with now. So we're going to say, so if we take a look at how, let's take a look at the API docs again. So let's take a look what we need to do to add a dimension and go through that real quick. So let's go to objects and say we're going to be looking for, let's start with the sheet object. I think that'll show us how to add a dimension to a sheet. So, drawing dimensions. General dimensions. Okay, so here we go. Here's what we're looking for. So we want to add linear. So we need to know. So let's take a look. We have the text origin. So where is our text going to go? Our intent one. What are we dimensioning? our intent to. So this is actually the same as intent 1, but it can be null. So that's useful for, well, actually, that's a fair, I actually don't know what that's exactly useful for yet. I don't think I've ever had to leave that one null. We'll take a look, we'll dive deeper into that later. And and then what is our dimension type? And we have additional options for styling, arrowhead layer. I would probably recommend that you set a lot of that up in your templates versus trying to set them in code every time. But if something you had to do, you could do it. But let's get started with what we have. So we know that we need to make something that's going to position the text. So we know we want to add a linear general dimension. So gen dimension equals sheet dot drawing dimensions dot general dimensions dot add linear. Okay, so point 1 is where our text is going to go. So let's go and make a quick method. So I think the drawing view is an appropriate place to put this in. So let's, yeah. So let's say, we'll just say public point drawing text locator. Okay, so what does he need to know? He needs to know what our view is. So we're already in it. So what type of dimension are we making? It needs to know that. It needs to know the view side. And it needs to know, so let's add, so we have a couple more print. Let's add our adjustment real quick. And let's add in string. So we'll leave that as an empty string. Our adjustment, let's leave that at 0. Okay. So when this is created, we need to know our adjustment. Okay, so our end goal is to create a point. So let's take a quick look. So I think let's start off with double x equals 0, double y equals 0. And now we're going to go if dimension type equals let's go horizontal dimension type. We're going to say if view side, if side equals view side dot top. We're going to say y equals view. Oh, we'll say height divided by 2 plus cent. So let's go and create that while we're thinking about it. I think think we had that one wrong down here. Okay, let's fix that. Okay, so now let's continue through now. So we're gonna say center dot y plus 0.5 plus adjustment. Okay, and so let's break this down. What did we do? So we said if the dimension is horizontal and the view side is on top, we want to adjust the y value by half the height plus center.y plus 0.5. So that gives us some clearance from the view. So the center of the view is in relation to the sheet, and the height is the view. So that gives our adjustment up from the sheet. So let's take this now. So now we're going to say else if sorry, view side bottom. We're going to say y equals height divided by 2. Let's see this differently. We'll go center dot y minus view height minus height divided by 2 minus 0.5 minus the adjustment. Okay, let's leave it like that. What does that want to do? Oh. Yeah, I think I like that. Let's do it like that. Okay. And now we'll go case we'll switch side. And this time we're going to go case.viewSide.left. And we're going to go x equals we'll go x equals width divided by 2 plus center dot x plus 0.5 plus adjustment. So x equals view center, or center dot x minus width divided by 2 minus 0.5 minus adjustment. Okay, and let's okay, and now we're going to return new point xy. Okay, so let's kind of break down. What did we just do? So this will, when we're making our general dimensions, this will help us position our text A lot easier than us having to go manually go fiddle with it. Okay, so now that we have that set, so we'll set a default value on our sides real quick. So on our case here, we'll say x equals center. So I'll set our default value there, and we're going to say y equals center dot y. So we've got our values set, and what we'll do, instead of us really having to break ourselves trying to get the dimensions set, we're going to use some built-in methods that Inventor has to help us out. All right, so now that we've got something working, or, well, not something working yet, we've got code that can help us make something work. So let's go and go. So we're going to, so now we've got our add dimension. So let's go and get our, let's get, where is our text to be located? So we're going to go var dim text location equals drawing text locator, and we'll pass in our dimension type, our view side, and our adjustment. Let's go in, then we can change that to a var. So, and now let's go and add this dimension. So we're going to say we're going to pass in our dim text location dot create point. And now we want our point 1 dot create intent, point 2 dot create intent, and now we want to go and our dimension type. Then we got our dimension type. All right, and that's all we need to do to create that dimension. So now we're going to call general dimension dot center text. So that'll help out with any text alignments we could possibly have. Now we'll say if string dot is null or empty to our text. So if our text is not null or empty, we're going to say general dimension dot hide value equals true, and we're going to say general dimension dot text dot formatted text equals text. Return general dimension. Well, in this case, we didn't return. Let's go and well, yeah, let's leave that alone for now. All right, so let's go and test this out real quick. I think we've got something that's going to work. And if so, we'll do some additional wrapping around it to make this a bit more friendly for us to work with and give us additional data. I always like to have as much data as we can when we're doing these because who knows how long you'll be kind of spinning around testing. You want it to be as easy to test as you can. So let's go ahead and get Inventor back off to our left. And we'll get right. Yeah, so let's go and close out our extra windows real quick. So I'm going to say all right, so now let's do it. We're going to say view dot add general dimension. So we've got the top left and the top right point. So let's go ahead and say we're going to let's go and get top left point, top, and okay, and now we're going to say this is going to be a vertical dimension, and we're going to say it's on the left. Alright, so let's run this through real quick. Alright, so let's just let it run through, see if it works the first time. Well, we tried. So we have some more work to do. So we've got a com exception, so let's go and see. Unspecified error. Well, it's unfortunate. So let's go and debug that real quick and see what can we do to make that happy. So let's start off running through this guy. So let's go and debug that, and we'll step through it and figure out what we have going on. So it's kind of unfortunate sometimes of dealing with COM. It's something that's hard to figure out what the exact issue was. But we'll get through it. So we're imagining the error is probably coming from here. Yeah. I'm going to pause the video for a little bit. Pause the recording. I'm going to look into this for a minute. That way you guys aren't going to have to watch me go through and debug this.